Hey guys, welcome. We are live. It's Thursday, so of course we are. But we're going to do things a little bit differently today. As you see, I'm actually the one introducing, which this is like one of my least favorite things to do when we go live. But I don't know if you know, I used to have a podcast that I had for about 2 years, and I love interviewing people. We're actually going to be ramping it back up again for Move to CEO. And so we're going to actually be doing that right now. And one of the first interviews I will be doing is with Tessa right here. Because here's the thing. A lot of you actually know Tessa from like her Friday live shows with Idea Pros. You know her from all of these other things. But not very often does she actually share her backstory. So I am like the nosy person. Like I want to know everything about people. I listen to those podcasts where people talk about how much money they made, how they failed, how they did it. Like I love hearing that stuff because I think it's so encouraging. And so today I didn't strong arm Tessa, but I did strongly suggest that we do this. So without further ado, Tessa, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so excited. Glad you could make it.
Fancy meeting you here.
So this is how I normally start my podcast, Tessa. And I'm going to ask you 5 really quick questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Ooh, what kind of pizza?
That's not pepperoni and anything. Meat
Ooh,
pizza.
Okay. Yes, me too. Okay. Favorite movie?
Princess Bride.
Oh, that's a good one. See, I knew I liked you. Favorite thing to do when you're not working?
Fishing.
Oh, really?
I love fishing. I would love to be on a boat and just like on the lake chilling and catching fish.
This is something I didn't know, guys, and we've worked together for how many years now? Okay. What is your favorite beverage?
I would say wine. I'm a wine drinker, but Diet Coke is a close second, and I'm probably not supposed to be drinking that, but it is addiction. I love Diet Coke.
All right. So what is your least favorite business activity?
Accounting.
Everyone's like, it's not like you hear it everywhere. Everyone's just groaning with you, like, oh yeah.
Yes, no, that is not my skill set. I am not that person.
Okay. So thank you for joining me today. It's a little bit backwards. Usually you're asking the questions. And so I love this because I get to put you on the spot.
I'm a little scared and I might blush. I'm not sure.
Don't worry, I won't ask anything. Well, I would, but I won't today ask anything too personal. So let's start here. How did you, first of all, how long have you been in business as an entrepreneur? How long have you been an entrepreneur?
I would say since 1995, I started my first very, very pathetic little business, but yes.
Wow, if anyone's doing the math, that's almost 3 decades. Just
it is.
Putting it out there.
And for the record, there wasn't anybody. What I was trying to do was not even a thing back then. So I was trying to be
when you first started.
I was trying to be a VA, a virtual assistant, but they didn't even have that term. It was because that wasn't a thing. You only had like websites that were library websites and AOL dial-up at that time. So
basically what you're saying is you were a trendsetter and ahead of your time.
I just didn't want to work in an environment in like an office. Like I was like, why can't I do this? Come into people's offices and like type up things. That's really what it amounted to. Like, how can I serve? How can I come in and just like take a couple things, do work for them at home because I had the equipment, and then just bring it back in and be done for them.
You said you tried that. What did it end up? How did your business evolve throughout the year?
Right. Well, at the same time, I was learning how to do web design. I was fascinated by all the websites, and I was like, this is going to be the trend. So they didn't even have it in schools. At that time, there were a couple vocational schools that you could go to get web design sort of degrees. At the time, they were not even in colleges yet. And so I took a vocational class to do web design. And while I'm trying to get this VA business going, and I realized that like this is where I want to be, is in this web space instead. And so I started, Dreamweaver back then and HTML, and like, how am I going to put this website up? I was so independent. I was actually putting up websites before, I was still doing dial-up. It was pretty long, and trying to make it work. But it took a long time because it was way ahead of its time back then.
That's so cool. So you really did. You were ahead of the game, basically, and the
Trying.
game had to follow up and play catch up with you. Is essentially what happened.
Right. But it ended up being wedding websites. So I had I was doing wedding websites because everyone wanted to have the male that they were
Wow.
talking to in the business. So I
Yeah.
was like, the one industry I can go into where they're not going to ask for that is the wedding industry.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. So you started, really, it's still a male dominated industry, but it's not, it's more common now to see women in this industry. So when you started, it was kind of like, well, you're a girl. Why would you build my website?
No, they literally said, well, who is the owner of the company? Can I talk to him? And it was always the same. Can I talk to him? And I'm like, I'm the owner of the company. It got to the point where I was
for you then, buddy.
It got to the point that, it was frustrating enough. I was like, I am going to find an industry where they're not asking for that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. So that's how you got into it. Now, okay. So because I know a little bit of your backstory, how did you were doing this, but then you also started a daycare.
I did.
Awesome. So what was like the dates that all this happened?
Well, I got married and I was going to have kids. So, we committed to like, hey, we're going to try to have kids. And I thought, well, if I'm going to have kids, it's going to be money. I'm going to find a business that can support that. I can't do this web design stuff where I'm, working till midnight and have a child that I'm trying to take care of. So in the spirit of creating something that fits my lifestyle, because that's apparently what I like to do.
Again, ahead of her time.
Again,
what we all do, right? Okay.
I was like, no, let's just start a daycare. I'm just going to go into this. I always loved playing with kids. That was my nature. I love being with kids more than I love being with adults because I feel like I get along with them better. So I started asking friends and I had a couple teacher friends and I was volunteering in their classrooms and they're like, you're right here next to a school. You should start a daycare. And I thought, okay, yeah, that's smart. Tax write-off. It's good idea. So I started real small. I had maybe 3 kids in the beginning, and then it grew to 2 schools, 16 kids at each school. And we had a booked wait list of 100 people on our wait list on a regular basis. And parents were putting their babies on before they were born. So it was like Baby Jones.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So, but again, I like used my tech skills. I used the ability to do the website design. I had, listings of our websites. Everyone knew where we were and knew how to get in touch with us. And so it turned out really great. And it was a great plan, except I never had kids. We weren't able to have kids, which it was a blessing in the big picture. But at the time, I built this whole business and then I kind of reinvented where I was going. So 10 years I ran schools and did other, things on the side, of course, like tried to learn how to do websites in the new every 10 years or so. Technology goes 20 leagues ahead, right? Yeah. So I was trying to stay up to date on it and then kind of reached a burnout point and said, I need to change and to leave the state. So that's what ended that and started a new journey because we have mini lives. I don't know if you guys know that, but we have mini lives that we go through.
Like little eras that
This is this era. This is the daycare era. And this is the next one.
Yeah. I totally understand that. Okay. So now that you start your business, you start the daycare business, you leave that behind and you're back into the online space. Mm-hmm. And now that's what you've been doing this whole time ever since, correct?
Ever since. I mean, I did try going back to corporate for a little bit, like, hey, it might be a better way because, you always fall back into, I don't know if you guys out there have ever experienced this in your journey, but like, it's a fail safe. Like, I can't make this work. I'm just going to try to go get a job. And then you realize how much you hate having a job. And you're like, why did I do this? I want to have that lifestyle that gives me the flexibility and the freedom, or, just commuting alone was one of the biggest things that I didn't like. And so I dabbled in it in that transition period because I was changing location and never moved out of state. So I fell back into, hey, I'm going to work for a staffing agency and do about the same things. Or I was working at a tech company, which they're all great and they can use the skills, but I really didn't feel like it was my calling.
Right. Man, that's so funny because, while Tessa and I have been working together, we both had our own businesses, and then we also have a business together. And this is really what we've been focusing on now here for Move to CEO. But during the phase where we were both had our own businesses, my business during COVID, took kind of a dive, obviously. A lot of you experienced that as well. And I kind of wanted a change of pace. I just wanted somebody to pay me. So I was still doing my business, I still had my contracts, but I was like, if the majority of my money could come from somebody and I'm doing what I like, wouldn't that be great? And so I did it. Do you remember this? And
I do.
Yeah, I did it for a stint, and great company. Don't get me wrong. Great company, really good people. I hated it.
I'm like, why am I doing this?
After leaving corporate, building my own business, and having these huge visions of what we're going to do with our business, it was really man, it was quite the letdown. Having to go to a Zoom meeting all the time and check in and be like, here's the hours I work. This is exactly, I felt like I was back in grade school again. And I was like, why am I doing this to myself? But it was so hard because it was this nice big paycheck. And
yep, been there
again, right? And so, but it finally did get to the point where it was like, okay, here we're separating. And they were a great company, really good people. But
I always enjoyed it.
Realized okay, I now that once you are on the path of entrepreneurship, especially for a few years, when you go back, it's quite the wake up call. Either you love it and you're like, oh man, it's so nice, I don't take anything home with me, or you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like a huge weight is back on me again. Even if my job was simpler and making money was simpler, I was like, I can't do it. I can't. And I was running away by the end of it. So I totally understand. So
you kind of felt it.
Would you ever get a job again?
So I think I've learned my lesson trying to go back and do it. It's not about, it doesn't solve the problem. You think it's going to solve a problem. I'm going to go back to work and I'm going to have this steady paycheck. It doesn't solve the problem for me because I don't like to limit myself. And that just locks me into this. I'm trying to get somebody else's approval to say that I'm valuable in that role. I like to be able to scale and do what I want as fast, or, obviously not slow for me, but I know that if I go that route, it's going to end the same way, which is just me thinking, why did I do this? Yeah. So I try to think at those times when I'm having that, is it me? Am I causing this need to go back and get a job? Or is it me just being afraid? And we've talked about this before, the fear to step into who you are. And most of us just kind of cower back and say, okay, I'm not going to take that leap. I'm just going to wait. But if you step into the fear instead and say, okay, I need to make this happen, and I am enough. I can do this. I just have to believe in myself and what I can do. And we talked about this, but I have a belief that God is there helping us and guiding us. And I think when I actually listen and do it, it all works out in the end. So all the times that I have given up and tried my way, it doesn't work. So
100%, right? 100%. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So no, I would not if I didn't have to. And, of course I'm going to put food on the table and a roof over my head. So I'm going to make things happen. Sometimes that means being creative, but
yes. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong. And I think that's something that a lot of people get wrong. They think that entrepreneurship is kind of like this, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, and then they sign up for it, and then it's just this straight shot. And I know we've all seen the memes of this, right? This is really what it looks like, but I don't think people really understand what that means. They think it's hard, emotionally, financially, but sometimes that also means you are it's not just up and down. Sometimes it means you go back. Right? Go back to what you knew, and then you come back forward, and then you're going back again. And, you're learning. All of these are seasons of learning, right? And I think that's what people forget. And so can you tell me what, with these seasons of learning, and of course I know the question to this answer, but did you, because you talked about, being afraid and, feeling like security, and that's why you were doing it. So did you ever have any money beliefs that affected your business?
I think the biggest one, I learned these from Kai. We did an amazing show on money beliefs that hold you back. And I'd say there's probably 4 that I was like, oh yeah, those kind of resonated. But I think one of the biggest ones is that I believed that my value was tied to my price, or my price was tied to my value, and so pricing's always been difficult for me. I always lowball, and I give and give and give, and that's okay to give in your business. But I always, I thought I had to prove that I was worth that. And that's not the case. I can get the results and I can do it. I just need to step into that. And I think Kai's helped me to really understand, like, are you doing this because of, again, back to the fear? Are you doing this a low price because you think no one's going to start with this program? Or are you doing this because you think that's really where we should be pricing at? And she's always challenging me. And I'm like, no, this is worth so much more. Hours and hours and hours and years of us learning the right way to do things. That's really the value in what we price.
How to shortcut it. Yeah.
Right. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, but I just want to make sure it's full. It's not about being full. It's about people realizing what you are actually worth, and that they're going to get that transformation in themselves that they can't get on their own without spending a ton of money. So I had to learn that. And that was my belief. It's not my value is not tied to that price, or that what I I have to price at.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people make this mistake. Like, they think if you don't have a few letters behind your name, or, whatever it is in your mind that equals your worth, that you gotta, and you'll see this, like, so if this is you'll know you have a package, you want to charge this price because it's worth that. But then you think, maybe I should add something to it. Oh, I should do this. I should give them this. I should do this bonus. And then that you have an issue with your money beliefs. Just a heads up for those of you who are listening or watching. Okay. So thank you for being honest about that. I was wondering what you might say. Okay. So how do you, and this is also, I ask these questions because I know Tessa, so it's a little bit unfair.
She's pushing me into my uncomfort zone.
So how do you balance business and your personal life?
You don't do a good job of it.
I was waiting for that answer.
So it is one of the areas that I need to work on. I'm a workaholic, and I think there's a lot to that. Like, that is some of the reason why people like working with me, because I do make sure that it's like, I'm going to get it done. And if it takes problem solving or whatever it takes to get it done, I am in the zone in that, whatever it is. It's like, it consumes me, which means that the personal life is being left over here. So Kai's really helped me to look at that balance and say, what life do you want to create with this business? And one of the big things that came out of my sessions with Kai, she's an amazing business coach, but it was, I need to have a business where I can take some weekends off, or like, not weekends. Well, that would be a start. Yeah, so turning off, going off grid, or whatever that might be, is one of the ways that I keep that work-life balance. When the weather's nice, I'm out in the mountains, fishing, kayaking, camping, whatever it might be. But the other thing is, I want to take Mondays and Fridays and use them how I want. They're more flexible days. So when Kai and I look at what we want to create in the business, we're saying, can we have something that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the majority of our activities are here, and we can have some flex days on the others. I also think that Kai is really good about saying, like, we're time blocking. Here's our block for us. In the morning is our best time. And I have had somebody I told this to, and she's like, thank you so much for telling me this. But we give a lot of our best time to other people in their businesses, but we don't give that time to us in our own businesses. So morning's good for me. When I first get up, it's like the better time of day. I'm not burnt out. So if I put my CEO time at the beginning of the day, at least I know that I'm going to get my stuff addressed, and then I'm not saving my stuff for the end where I'm burnt out. So I think that's another big thing to work-life balance, is like, you have to give your business the time it needs too.
100%. 100%. Okay.
I'm so curious when I get to interview Kai about all these. I can't wait to see her answers. So that will be
So
coming
that was
soon too.
happening.
I am going to interview you. We're doing it.
Oh man, I'll probably be crying like a little baby.
Oh, Tessa, don't be so mean.
Stop asking me these questions. Okay. What is one of the biggest mistakes you've made in your business?
Oh, this one was hard and expensive. I hired salespeople, and in the early stages of my web design company, I hired a salesperson because I thought, I just don't have time. I can't work on all these websites and sell. So I have to hire a salesperson. And I hired twice. I did this. I hired someone when I didn't even know how to sell my own websites. Like I was okay at it and people would always say yes. I didn't know why. And I didn't have the materials to really give this salesperson. I guess I assumed they would create some for me. But really the truth is if you don't know how to market or sell your own business, no one else can do it for you. Like you have to understand your fundamentals. And we call them the foundation or your core business. What would you say?
It's like business essentials.
The business essentials, right? So you have to know your target audience, what motivates them. You have to know, why your offer is special. What is it? Why do they want to buy it? Like all those basics that we never want to do in our business. I thought I had it because I was already selling. So I thought, I know it's close, right? But salesperson has to have the exact information in order for them to turn that into sales for you. And so I just spent a whole lot of money and got 0 sales both times and spent thousands on a salesperson, having them in for 3-6 months, whatever I thought I could make it turn around. So just know that you can't have you have to understand how to sell your own stuff. You have to know what your benefits are before you're going to be able to, scale it or turn anybody else into your team for that.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Biggest financial mistake.
I just have a few more questions for you. Okay. So, and I think you kind of shared this, but the reason I'm highlighting this is I feel like a lot of people who are in business, I think it's the weirdest thing, but all of us do it. Even I am guilty of it, is when you start your business, you somehow think that you are supposed to know how to run a business. I find it very strange that we all think this. We just think, okay, I'll Google it and that's fine. Yet, really your expertise is in whatever your expertise is. It might be in cleaning houses. It might be in web design. It might be in creating apps or whatever it is. But somehow you think, okay, because I decided to be an entrepreneur, the entrepreneur fairy came to me in the middle of the night.
And I can do all this.
And now I can do it all by myself. With the help of getting my Google PhD, which nobody needs, and falling into the YouTube abyss, which everybody loves, but is not helping them. So
100%.
With that said, I think that all of us have a weakness. And we need to acknowledge that weakness so that we're able to actually fill in that gap rather than letting it be the weakest chain that breaks our business. So with that said, what is your business weakness?
My weakness is that I try to do it all myself, and Kai knew the answer to this, but I tried. I always did. It's all on my shoulders. It's my business. I have to do it myself. I have to figure it out myself. And the truth is, I may have tried to hire a salesperson, but I didn't look to the advice side. I was looking to a solution to one problem. What I needed to be looking at was who can help me get to where I need to get, who's already gotten there, who's already been through these things that could tell me, oh, here, Tessa, there's this giant mountain over here that you can't see because you're so, in your weeds at the moment. So I really needed to look to a coach. A business coach is hands down. Every time I invested in a coach or help that literally took me through the brain process of what I was doing, it always meant growth in my business. And so I kept trying to do it myself when I could have stepped out and just said, sorry, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to run a business. I don't know how to get my sales figured out. And clearly over, 3 decades or whatever, I figured out a lot of it, but still I always need a coach. In fact, I don't want to work with clients who don't have a coach because I know that they're not going to have someone to turn to. I can't be that coach for them. In marketing, I need you to come to me with a plan, tell me what you want me to do and I'll make it happen and make it look pretty. But really, I need you to have a coach. And so that was my biggest thing. And, everyone needs to have a coach and know that you can't do it all on your own.
That's so good. So then what would you say your biggest business strength is?
I problem solve. I
Yeah,
think
I was
that's
thinking
me.
of Wonder Woman with a cape. That's perfect. Yeah,
I
100%.
do. Yes, I love being the superhero swoops in and helps you figure out what's going on in your business and helps you find a solution to that problem. So problem
Mhm.
solving by far is my favorite thing to do.
Nice. Okay. What would you tell your younger self?
Again, definitely get help. Get help because you have to know these processes in your business. You have to
Mhm.
understand how all this works together. If it
Yeah.
was a Rubik's cube and you have all these facets of your business, you have, accounting, you have sales, you have marketing, you have my people, you have all these pieces in your business and you have to solve for one side at a time, right? You
Yeah.
can't just like poof, it's all done. You have to do one thing at a time, like get help so you can focus in on where you need it the most. And then it will come together. You just have to be diligent, like our Move to CEO program, where we spend 7 months, dealing with each of the facets of your business.
Mhm. Yeah. So with that said, um, I think something that you mentioned was, getting help. And I feel like, as a coach, sometimes that feels a little sleazy, like, hey, this is my advice to get help. And so I just want you guys to really understand when we say to get help, it isn't because, hey, we're selling a program. Come and join us. Yes, of course we are. We always are. Hello. How do we stay open? How do we do these things? That's how we do it. But it's really about when you get help, whatever that help looks like, right? So it could be that you join a mastermind. It could be that you go to your local networking chapter or a BNI or whatever that looks like. But the point of getting help is that as a business owner, we all have a blind spot. And then to ask yourself, okay, I'm going to go on Google because I'm having this problem. You actually don't know what questions to ask. Why?
Mhm.
Because you aren't a business strategist, coach, whatever, right? Like you don't actually know, you don't have your MBA, and that's okay. The problem isn't that you don't know how to run a business. The problem is that you don't know what questions to ask.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Even with AI, like, AI is going to be our solution to everything. You still have to ask it the right questions for it
Yeah.
to give you what you need. So I love that. You need to know the questions to ask and really what to do with that, where to
Right.
go, because it's
And
easy to
so
get down the wrong path.
yes. And that's the thing is that a lot of people go down the wrong path and they think, okay, I give up. It's not working. And it's not that you don't know how to run a business, it's that you aren't focused on the right things because, if somebody cannot see, and I always talk about the perspective toolbox, but I'm not going to bring it up right now. But if you can't see everything, all you see is the problem. And all you will Google and YouTube is the problem, the solution to the problem. Just like Tessa went and said, okay, my problem is that I don't have time to do the sales. So what can I do? Okay, I'm going to do this. Had she talked to somebody who had already experienced that problem or could see from the outside looking in because they have that know-how and
That
wherewithal,
experience.
then
Yeah.
they can say, well, before you do that, here's a few things to think about. Let's
Yeah.
save you money before that part, or let's
Right.
fix this before you do this.
That's
But because
100%
you
of
don't
what we
know
do.
that,
Move to
yeah,
CEO. We want to just save you time and
yeah,
money. I mean, 100%. We want you to be able to get to where you need to go faster because
yeah,
we've done it and we messed up and we spent a lot of money. So why, we just don't want you to be in the same boat.
yeah, 100%. Okay, so that's my last question is
Oh, thank
this.
you.
No, I'm not done. This is the last question right here. And I'm
Okay.
sure we get off early. Okay, how can you help people now?
Well, we have a workshop, we have a masterclass and a workshop that I think are the best tools right now. I mean, we have so many tools in our belts, I should say. Move to CEO does. We create awesome content, but I'm excited about the masterclass because we've
What is
jammed
the masterclass?
the masterclass. It jams in. It's the power posting masterclass. It jams in the best posting tips and an amazing bonus cheat sheet that is so awesome to have. But it crams it all into a 1 hour session so you can get the best advice from us
Right.
on how to post content and turn it into more content. And so you're doing less work and you're getting more results and more money, which is our tagline anyway. But I think that that's one of the best. I mean, and you know, we have the MTC program, our Move to CEO program breaks everything out into 7 months, which I definitely think if you need to get your ducks in a row, that's the best program for it. But that's how we help. We help with coaching, mastermind environment, and it just is designed to keep things simple and make it fun and easy for you to get through tasks in your business with support.
Okay, so do you have a link to the masterclass that you can drop?
I do, and I'm going to put it in the chat right now to you all. It is just movetoceo.com/power, POWER, power posting.
Yeah. So guys, if you, and this is like, you know, we could have sold you the $2,000 program. We didn't. She's sharing with you like a $47 program because here's the thing is people get stuck on content, right? Even we have gotten stuck on content and we create content for other people. So with that said, what are the essentials that you actually need to start putting content out there and make it powerful? Not like, oh, I should post and let me take an hour to create this reel, or let me find what's trending and let me do, like, stop the madness, guys. Get off the crazy bus, okay?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
We will tell you exactly how to post, what we tell our clients, how you can do it simply so that you are creating powerful content that matters to your people and you know how to create a lot of it, right? So
definitely.
You can come join us there. But thank you, Tessa.
Thank you. And I know we have to run because I have to run into another strategy meeting actually for social media. So big company that needs help. So we'll definitely see you guys next Thursday as well. So don't forget to hit the bell to get notifications. And you can definitely come on over to our channels as Move to CEO on everywhere.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.